All right, so our question is, what keeps things in a stable position? If you need to, you can use the words from our science wall. You can use ideas from your journal and think about the experiments that we've done already about keeping things in a stable position and balancing them. We're trying to work to figure out this answer, what keeps things in a stable position.
Okay, well, usually if it's trying to stay in a stable position, you're probably want to have counterweights on the bottom of the thing that you're trying to stay stable instead of the top, because then all the way at the top would just make it tip over and so you would have to have it like in the middle or the bottom to make it like stay on there.
I think you should just put it on a stable position. Like, if I had like a stick hanging off of this, I could just put a pencil in here and try to figure out a way to balance it.
I think you have to have your balance point straight in the middle, or else it's possibly not going to balance too good.
Okay, instead of a counterweight, sometimes you will just want to use a wire if you're trying to balance like a pencil or a arch, like a paper arch. And so it can get like all tangled up, but make sure that the wire doesn't touch the counterweight. Make sure the wire doesn't. So make sure that the wire doesn't touch the balance point, and so the wire can go around like the arch or something, and then it can help with balance more.
If you put two counterweights on the same side, it can balance, but if you put it on the tip of the top, like side. I think you can't really balance it, or else you're gonna need like something to like help you balance it. I mean, if you put two balance points on the same area, then it's not gonna balance. If you put both of them on different areas, it's possibly gonna balance.
Alright, next time, no. Alright, this time it might have to be girls because the girls say go.
Yes, the easier time.
Sometimes you'll just have to use like one thing, like the counterweights or the wire, and sometimes you'll have to use both of them so it can stay in a stable position.
You might only have to use one counterweight to use the stable position.
Sometimes you don't need to use any counterweights or any wire if it's like the same amount on each side, and in the middle sometimes you don't need to use any of them, and then just put it on there.
I sort of agree with Colin, because if it's like a arch, you could balance it no matter what. Like you can.
But what if you can't balance it on every side?
Well, then you're gonna need a counterweight. But if you don't really. Sometimes you don't need to use a counterweight, like Colin said. Sometimes, if something's heavier than the other one, like if a bear's heavier than a squirrel, the bear would go down and the squirrel will go up.
I agree with Ava because something that's bigger than littler things can go up and down, up and down.
Well, I agree with Ava and Zayon because because their ideas were really good, and a bear and a squirrel wouldn't be able to balance on a seesaw or anything, because like Ava said, the squirrel will go up and the bear would possibly break its area of the seesaw.
If there's two bears on the same side, it would go equal because they're both
What if they aren't the same weight?
but if they're one's bigger and one's smaller, the bigger one would go down and the smaller one would go
What if
up.
the small
What
one's
if the
really
small
heavy?
one just flew up? Oh.
I agree with Stevie, Ava, and Zion, but I also have a little disagreement because what if the squirrel has a lot of acorns in its mouth and then the acorns just make it heavier than the bear and then the bear just launches straight up?
Yeah. I mean, what if it's not just a squirrel on it? It could be a squirrel, an elephant, and a giraffe on it. And how do you know which one do you think is gonna win? A bear or a squirrel, elephant, and giraffe? I see
If a bear and an elephant was on it.
Wow.
I don't really think that's possible. None of them. No.
Okay. Do you mind? I just want to interrupt you and summarize what you're saying so far, and then add a little another piece to our question. So far we're thinking that that we need the counterweights to help balance. That the balance point might be straight in the middle, or it won't balance too good, and that sometimes you might need a wire or one counterweight or a few counterweights, and that size might matter because it seems like if we had a bear that was heavier than a squirrel, that if we were trying to balance them on a balance point, it might be challenging to do that. Does that sound correct so far?
Yes.
Okay.
Nope.
So when we're thinking about what keeps things in a stable position, I want to present you with two new shapes, and I want you to think about how would these balance, and how would you make them a stable position? Why don't you go ahead and think first, and then we'll talk.
We're gonna have to need counterweights.
Yeah.
If you put the
Definitely need counterweights or
If
a
you-
wire.
if you had this one, you would put the counterweight right here and balance the edge on your finger because it would be like
Or with this one, you can just put a counterweight right here and one up here, and it's probably gonna look good.
I agree.
if you put them on both sides.
If you put them on both sounds,
I agree.
so you need counterweights.
I agree with Ava on this one because
It's just like this one.
because
Just like that.
I don't know, but you would have to like put like a counterweight down here since there's more room up here. It would be a little bit more heavier, so you would have to put one right here and possibly one right here to make it balance.
Well, I think I agree with Colin because you're gonna have to like put one at the bottom. Actually, you're gonna have to like put one at the bottom and like put the balance point right here because it's just like this one. Because you can just do this and it's possibly gonna balance.
That's true. I agree with you, Steve, because that's just like the one.
No.
Like you put the counterweight on the bottom, and then you probably might put it, and then it's gonna balance. That probably won't work.
Well,
If you because even if you put a counterweight right here, that's just gonna put more weight and it's gonna fall down more.
Well, what if you put a counterweight right here?
it would definitely fall down.
That's a
Because
good
it's
question.
up higher than
But
down
it
low.
would fall down.
But it's possibly not gonna fall down.
Yeah,
It
because
could and it could not.
because it could possibly not fall down because up here there's more room for this, so So the counterweight could possibly make it exact for the weight.
Yeah, or can make it fall
No,
down.
if you put it right here, it probably will work. Because
But they aren't. This isn't a stable position. I mean, it's round. And books are actually stable position. But we're possibly going to need a counterweight.
yeah. If we get a counterweight, you're saying it's gonna work.
How do we know? We never tried it.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
It might work if you put
It might work, it might not.
What are you thinking? Would you like to try it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I would